Veterans and Military Leadership Alliance. David served as a Green Beret in the Vietnam War and is a member of the Arizona Veterans Hall of Fame. David, thank you so much for joining us this evening. How did you personally come to your decision to resign and sign on to this letter?
It was a very difficult decision for me personally. I was frustrated, and then I was angry, I was perplexed. And as time marched on, it became pretty evident that of course, all the issues are important, but the one that's most dear and near to my heart are voting rights. I joined the Army at 19 years old and turned 21 on the Ho Chi Minh Trail. I was not eligible to even vote. And then I was not able to vote in a presidential election until 3 years after I got back from Vietnam. And more recently, I was in Iraq for a couple of years, and we were asked to take Iraqi citizens to the polls under arms, and that's what we did. We risked life and limb to take Iraqis to the polls so that they could vote in their first fair and free election in generations. So when I get back to this country and people are beginning to suppress the vote as well as subvert the vote, it's hugely contrary to American democracy, and it's fundamental to its foundation. And yet, I came to the conclusion that she wasn't supporting this, although we encouraged her to, and there's still time to make that happen.
David,
and so I just couldn't.
David, can I ask? Can I jump in and ask, have you spoken directly to the senator about this issue? She won't speak to reporters about where she stands on voting rights or the Biden economic agenda. She won't speak to Democratic colleagues in the House. She hasn't held a town hall for constituents in Arizona since her election in 2018. Have you been able to get through to her?
You know, we've had direct contact with her during her campaign, of course, and then had a couple of personal contacts with her on the council, but not for the last year. And I did hear from her this morning when the story broke, and she thanked me for my service to the country and to her office, and wished me well. And I had no way to really return the call, so I listened to the message and left it at that.
You know, I looked at television and there was somebody beating Mr. Wilson. Mr. Wilson was just being pummeled. In fact, one of the guys said, "Run, damn you, run." And he just kept walking.
Wilson creases his hat, puts it back on, and he keeps walking. His expression doesn't change.
L. Alex Wilson's decision not to run in defiance of the mob was rooted in an incident from his boyhood in Florida.
As a kid, Alex Wilson had seen the Klan come to town, and he ran, and he hated himself for having done that, and he said he would never run again. He's 49 years old. He's got nerve damage from what happened in Little Rock that day. 3 years later, in 1960, age 51, he is dead.
Good evening, my fellow citizens. For a few minutes this evening, I should like to speak to you about the serious situation that has arisen in Little Rock. Mob rule can not be allowed to override the decisions of our courts.
Within hours of Eisenhower's announcement, as the American public watched in shock and disbelief, 1,000 federal troops marched into Little Rock, and the Arkansas National Guard was federalized. It was a huge television event. The president speaking on TV, ordering federal troops into an American city so some black kids could go to school.
The fact that he used 1,000 paratroopers to provide protection made a hell of a statement, especially in the black community.
Black people were used to the government being against them, not for them. So the notion of troops being used for African Americans was a revolution, a revelation, and a novelty.
We were blessed by the fact that these images were shown by the media, because there probably were other cases before us in which there was no media, no image. You know, if a tree falls in the forest, does anybody hear it?
Before long, millions of Americans would hear it and see it.